Okay, quick question. Imagine you're standing in front of nature's menu 10,000 years ago. There are ducks, geese, turkeys, pigeons, quail, ostriches, seagulls, thousands of bird species, and every one of them lays eggs. So why did humanity eventually look at all those options and collectively decide, yeah, let's build an entire civilization around chickens? Seriously, walk into any supermarket on Earth. The egg section is basically a chicken monopoly. Billions of eggs, almost all from the same bird. Not duck eggs, not goose eggs, not turkey eggs, chicken eggs. Why? Was there something special about them? Did they taste better? Were chickens easier to catch, or did humanity accidentally stumble into one of the most successful agricultural partnerships in history? Because the answer turns out to be far stranger than most people realize, and it begins long before breakfast existed. Let's go. First, we need to clear up a common misconception. Humans did not start by farming chickens. For most of human history, people simply collected eggs from wild birds. If you found a nest, you took the eggs. Simple. Hunter-gatherers across the world raided nests whenever they could. Seabird colonies were especially valuable. Thousands of eggs concentrated in one place. High protein, high fat, easy calories. Ancient humans loved them. The problem was reliability. Birds don't lay eggs because you're hungry. They lay eggs because they're making babies. Miss the nesting season, and the food disappears. Find too many nests, and the bird population collapses. It's a great food source. It's a terrible food system. Civilization needed something more predictable. Then along came a small bird from Southeast Asia, the red jungle fowl, a nervous little forest bird that looked surprisingly similar to a modern chicken. At first glance, it wasn't particularly impressive. It couldn't fly very well. It wasn't especially large. It wasn't especially dangerous, but it possessed one extraordinary advantage. It tolerated humans. That sounds simple. It wasn't. Most wild animals hate being near people. They run, they hide, they attack. The ancestors of chickens did something unusual. They hung around human settlements. Researchers believe early jungle fowl were attracted to discarded grains near farming communities. Humans accidentally created a buffet. The birds showed up. And over time, a relationship formed. Not because humans planned it, because evolution loves free food. Now here's where things get interesting. Most birds have a serious productivity problem. A wild goose might lay a small clutch each year. A wild duck does something similar. Many birds invest heavily in a few offspring. That's great for survival, terrible for farming. The red jungle fowl was different. Even before domestication, it reproduced relatively quickly. And once humans began selectively breeding them, everything changed. Ancient farmers unknowingly started running one of the largest genetic experiments in history. Each generation, they kept birds that were calmer, birds that stayed near people, birds that produced more eggs, birds that reproduced more often, generation after generation, century after century. The result was extraordinary. Modern chickens can lay over 300 eggs a year. Their wild ancestors produced only a tiny fraction of that. Think about that transformation. Humanity didn't merely find a bird that laid lots of eggs, humanity created one. Now you might be wondering, why not ducks? Good question. Ducks are actually excellent egg layers. In some cases, they produce eggs almost as efficiently as chickens. The problem is management. Ducks love water, they wander, they make nesting unpredictable. Chickens are easier. They naturally return to roost. They stay closer to home. They're simpler to contain. When you're feeding an entire village, simplicity matters. A lot. Then there are geese. Geese produce large eggs. Delicious eggs. The problem? Geese are basically tiny feathered security guards with anger issues. They're territorial, aggressive, loud, and they lay far fewer eggs. Imagine choosing between a cooperative employee and a coworker who screams at everyone while producing less work. Ancient farmers made the obvious choice. Turkeys had another issue. They require more food, more space, more resources. A turkey egg contains more nutrition, but it also costs more to produce. Nature runs on efficiency. So do farmers. Chickens won the math. But there's another reason chickens became unstoppable. Size. A chicken egg is almost perfect. Large enough to provide meaningful nutrition, small enough that the bird can produce lots of them. Ostrich eggs are enormous. One ostrich egg equals roughly 2 dozen chicken eggs. Sounds amazing. Until you remember the ostrich attached to it. Ostriches are massive, dangerous, expensive to feed, and not particularly interested in cooperating with your farming plans. A chicken gives you an ideal balance. Nature rarely produces perfect solutions. This was surprisingly close. Now let's talk about a biological superpower that most people never think about. Chickens don't just produce eggs, they produce them fast. Very fast. A healthy hen can create an egg in roughly 24 to 26 hours. Think about the engineering involved. Shell, yolk, albumin, membranes, protective coatings, all assembled inside a living animal every single day. It's one of the most efficient food production systems evolution ever created. And humans learned to take advantage of it. Agricultural societies quickly realized something important. You didn't need to kill the chicken. A cow gives meat once. A chicken gives eggs continuously. The bird stays alive. The food keeps coming. From an economic perspective, that's incredible. It's like owning a machine that manufactures breakfast. Now here's the part that changed the world. As civilizations expanded, chickens expanded with them. Trade routes carried them across Asia, into the Middle East, into Europe, into Africa, eventually into the Americas. Wherever humans went, chickens followed. Because chickens solve a problem every civilization faces. Reliable protein. You don't need large pastures. You don't need expensive feed. You don't need a huge farm. A few birds can survive in a small space and still provide food. For ancient cities, that was revolutionary. And unlike many livestock animals, chickens reproduce quickly. A small flock can become a large flock surprisingly fast. That's agricultural gold. But perhaps the biggest reason chicken eggs conquered the world has nothing to do with chickens at all. It's about humans. Human beings love consistency. We like knowing what tomorrow looks like. Wild bird eggs are unpredictable. Chicken eggs are predictable. Every morning, every week, every season, the same dependable resource. Civilization is built on predictability. You can't support large populations on luck. You need systems. The chicken became a system, and once a system works, it tends to spread. Fast. Today, humans consume trillions of eggs every year, more than almost any ancient farmer could have imagined. Yet, every egg traces its story back to a nervous jungle bird scratching around the edges of human settlements thousands of years ago. A bird that wasn't stronger than other birds. Wasn't bigger. Wasn't smarter. Just easier to live with. So why did humans choose chicken eggs over every other bird? Because chickens offered the perfect combination. Enough eggs, small size, low cost, easy management, fast reproduction, and an extraordinary willingness to tolerate humans. Evolution built the bird, humanity optimized it. Together, they accidentally created one of the most successful partnerships in history. And that's why, when you open your refrigerator tomorrow morning, the odds are overwhelming that the egg staring back at you came from a chicken. Not because it was the only option, because it turned out to be the best one.